Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mylio Photos Coffee Break. My name is Angela Andrew, and I'm a product evangelist for Mylio. That means that I'm here to help you be successful with the Mylio Photos application and answer your questions about anything related to photography, Mylio Photos, family history. We cover all sorts of topics in these sessions. Today, we're going to be talking about Photo DeClutter, which is a tool inside of Mylio Photos, and I'm going to show you how you can make the most of it. Before we do that, I want to bring your attention to a few other upcoming events we have. For those of you who are new to Mylio Photos or perhaps just getting reacquainted with it, maybe you stepped away for a while, make sure you go to mylio.com/ready-set-go and check out Lori's program that she runs. Lori's also joining us today. She's helping out in the chat, making sure all of your questions get answered, and also going to be posting some important links for other things that we talk about today. But she runs her own program called Ready, Set, Go, and it gives you all of the building blocks that you need to get started with Mylio Photos. We also, on every Tuesday and Thursday, hold a live Q&A, which you can pop in and out of whenever you have questions about Mylio. That's typically hosted by me. Every once in a while, we bring in some other guests to answer those questions. That's at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time every Tuesday and Thursday. And then we have these coffee breaks every Friday, 11:30 a.m. Pacific, where we cover a small topic inside of Mylio, usually a tutorial over a specific part of the application, and then we open up the floor for questions on that topic or any other topics you have. Today we're going to be talking about Photo DeClutter. Next week we have also some hidden library cleanup tools that you might have missed in Mylio Photos. So these are some fun things that, they're not hidden on purpose. They're just things that sometimes people don't come across, and I want to make sure you know they're there. So hopefully you can join us also next Friday. With that, I want to go ahead and jump over to Mylio Photos and to our presentation for today, and let's get started with Photo DeClutter. Let me take a look here at the chat really quick, make sure there's no questions popping up there. All right. So today we're going to talk about Photo DeClutter, and we're going to go through what Photo DeClutter is, how it's different than Photo DeDupe, how it works, how to get into it, and then some of the tools you can use inside of the Photo DeClutter area to make this process easier. So let's start with Photo DeClutter. This is a tool to help you clean up similar photos. What it does is it gathers all of your images from burst mode images, so things that were taken within a specific frame of time, and groups them together so you can see which ones are the ones you want to keep and the ones that you want to get rid of. So it's grouping together near duplicate images, not exact duplicates. If you want to find exact duplicates, that's what Photo DeDupe is all about. So the differences between DeClutter and DeDupe: DeClutter is looking for similar images that are captured within a specific time frame. Photo DeDupe is looking for those exact duplicates. So maybe you had a backup at one point and you did maybe a backup over here and a backup over there. You import all these pictures into Mylio and now you have 2 or 3 copies of the same image. Photo DeDupe is perfect for cleaning those things up. Declutter is for when you sit there and you hold down the shutter button on your camera, or you press the button on your phone, and you get, 5, 10, 15 images that are all very similar. Mylio will group them together so you can go ahead and pick the best one out of the bunch, or the best 3 or 5, or rather keep all of them. It's completely up to you. But this lets you kind of whittle down your library to find those really true gems inside your library and keep things tidy. So how it works: what it looks for are pictures that are the same aspect ratio. They have to be taken with the same camera. And as I mentioned, they're within a specific time frame. So the default is 2 seconds, but you can actually move that all the way up to, I believe it's 60 seconds. We'll take a look at that here in a second. Some of the limitations: it does not use object recognition to locate visually similar images. It's for finding things that are based on that metadata. So if the metadata is incorrect, it can't find them that way. They have to fall within that specific time frame, and you have to do this from a computer or a tablet. This does not work on a phone. So there's a handful of things in Mylio Photos that can only be done on a tablet or on a computer because you need that additional screen real estate. The phone is just too small in a lot of instances to have these things properly work. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and talk about how you get into Photo DeClutter. There's 2 ways that I would recommend doing this, and you can do this from the All Photos view, or if you want to immediately narrow it down to just look at pictures in a specific folder, you can access it from a specific folder. So let me show you what that looks like here as a difference. Right now I am in the All Photos view, and I'm going to go down to the Tools here on the left sidebar and choose Photo DeClutter. And that's going to go ahead and open this. It's going to scan my entire library. And I'm going to go ahead and close those blue boxes. And you'll see that it's come up with 24,000 sets and almost 80,000 files. Much like DeDupe, that is just too much to deal with at once. So if you're going with a large library and you have a lot of similar images, you want to whittle this down. There's a lot of ways you can do that. We can work with the QuickFilters, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. The other way to access this tool, which I actually prefer, is to kind of go folder by folder. And I do this when I'm going through a new set of images. So I'm going to go to my folders view, and I'm going to go into my main photos folder here into 2024. And let's take a look at, what do we want to look at today? How about some surfing pictures? These are kind of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and go into this folder of surfing pictures. I've already gone through some of these, so there's already a bit of cleanup that's been done, but you can see there's a lot of images in here that are very, very visually similar. So this is a great way to look through and learn how to use Photo DeClutter. What's in your library might be things like surfing. It might be other action shots. It might be your kid kicking a soccer ball, or your granddaughter off of a diving board going into the pool, or any number of things where you have several images shot in quick succession that are all very similar. And the goal is to be able to pick the 1 or 2 or 3 in that entire series that are the absolute best, and get rid of the ones that have, the eyes are closed, they have a weird expression on their face, maybe the body turned the wrong way in that one. If you're talking about a kid running across the field, ready to kick the soccer ball, you maybe want to get both feet up off the ground and get a great expression on their face. And you probably have some that fit that description and some that don't. This will help you group together those similar shots so you can pick the best ones and get rid of the ones that are just maybe not so great. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up from a folder, and I'm going to go ahead again, click that tools icon and choose Photo DeClutter. And now you'll see at the top, it is automatically filtered to that particular folder. So I'm only seeing images from this particular folder. Now, I can go through these and start going and deciding which ones I want to keep and get rid of, but you can see that it's nicely grouped, these images, based on that timestamp. By default, like I said, it's within 2 seconds. You can actually drag this up and make this all the way up to, I was wrong, 120 seconds, not 60 seconds. So you can actually have a massive 2-minute window here if you want to make bigger groups of images. 2 seconds is really kind of a good starting point. A lot of times I might do 4 or 5, but it's completely up to you. But you can go ahead and decide how big you want those groupings to be. And then I also mentioned that you have the option to match the aspect and match the camera. You can turn these off, but those are on by default. So there we go. There we're in Declutter, and we're in it from a folder. So that's kind of the big difference here between accessing from a photo or folder and all photos. So let's talk a bit about using QuickFilters with Photo DeClutter, because these can actually streamline this process and make it a lot easier. So as I'm looking through these images, I know that because I've already gone through and done some editing in this folder, there are some of these photos that I've already edited. Typically when I edit, I mark them with a pick flag or a star rating. So what I want to do is I actually want to pull those out of the equation. I don't even want to deal with those today because I already know that I like them. So what I'm going to do is use my QuickFilters to actually hide those images. And I'm going to go here to by rating, label, and flag. And I'm going to go ahead and choose my pick flag. And then up here at the top, I'm going to right click on this and choose exclude. So right now with include, you can see it's only showing ones that have pick flags. Now we're showing the ones that don't have pick flags. So these are ones that I still have yet to go through or are maybe a little bit on the fence on. So that's one way you can narrow that down. You can also, if you're doing this from all photos, you can use these QuickFilters to go ahead and add a folder. So you can only look at a specific folder that way as well. And you can also use smart tags. And down here in the visual properties, there's some smart tags that can be very, very helpful, such as blurry. You also have under the person smart tags here, you have eyes closed, eyes open, things like that. Now, we're going to talk in a minute about auto mark, which actually brings some of these other things into play. But QuickFilters can be very helpful in helping you narrow down and find the ones that are the best and getting rid of the ones that are maybe not quite so good. So let's review some similar sets. This is where we go in and we actually take a look at the different groupings we have here. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and find a group of surfers here that's maybe a little bit more manageable. Some of these are pretty big groups. I'm very fortunate to have a camera that has a fast shutter speed and frame rate. So I end up getting a lot of pictures when I'm doing an event like this. What I do when I'm photographing surfers is I zero in on the surfer, I get my focus, and then I just hold down that shutter, because what I'm hoping for is that great gesture and that spray of the water and maybe the backlighting of the ocean and the light coming through the waves and things like that. So as I am going ahead and holding down that shutter, I'm hoping that one of those frames is going to turn out really good. So in this particular series, that's 11 right there. Let's see if we can find a smaller one. There's 9. Let's go ahead and take a look at this series of 9. So here's one. I went ahead and got my focus on the surfer, and I double clicked on that to go ahead and show me a bigger version. And you'll see down here at the bottom, these are all of the pictures in this set. And I can just use the arrow key on my keyboard to go ahead and move between these and take in what I'm looking at here. So there's all my different images from this set. And honestly, none of these are particularly dramatic, but we can go ahead and kind of eliminate some of the ones that are better than the others. So taking a look here at these first few here, I kind of like this one with his hand up. The two before it, those are not so interesting. I'm going to go ahead and mark those to delete, because there's really not a whole lot there that interests me. This is a far more interesting photo here, this one that I did not mark. I'm going to certainly keep that one. Let's take a look at some of these others here. So those two, very much the same. You can kind of see that there's a slight, difference in the waves. There's not really, neither of them are great images, I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to just go ahead and say maybe this one I'm going to get rid of and go ahead and keep the other one. And then we go ahead and switch to this one here, which is actually very similar to this one here. The gesture, the thing I don't like about this one is his hand is actually intersecting with his head. So that's actually not as great of a shot as this one here, where there's a little bit of separation. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one. And we've got a good gesture there, but he's kind of starting to disappear into the water. So these two, I think I'm going to go ahead and let those two go as well. And I've now limited this set of 9 down to 3 that I'm keeping. And I can go ahead and go back and take a look at another set of images. So that's how you go through these different sets. You can also pay attention to your different settings over here in the info panel if you want to take a look at the size and the resolution and things like that. They should all be the same. They're coming from the same camera. They're matching the aspect ratio, so there shouldn't be any major differences over there. If you want to, as you're going through these different sets, you can always, you may go ahead and click on one of these here. If you need to, you can always zoom in on this and see a larger version of this. And then if we go to the next one, right now I have what's called sticky zoom enabled. So the zoom level stays with each image. So I can get a better representation of really the quality, and if it's blurry and if it's sharp, of each one of these images. So sticky zoom is an option that you can enable under the settings. So up you go to the more menu and settings, and I believe, is it under device appearance? There it is, under device appearance, use sticky zoom. I love this because it keeps my zoom level when I go from one picture to the next. When this is off, when you go to the next image, it's going to zoom back out and you're going to be back at 100%. So, or back at the full screen. So I like sticky zoom. It's an option. You can have it on or off, but I just wanted to point out that that was there because I find it very useful. So again, that's how you go through and you compare all of these different photos. Let's take a look at auto mark, because this is where it's going to start making this a little bit easier for us and using some of the AI technology built into Mylio Photos to streamline this process. So let's jump back over here. I'm going to go back to that grid view where we're seeing all of our sets, and let's take a look at auto mark. And that's down here in the bottom right. And what this does is it gives us things that we can mark to get rid of. So we want to maybe mark all of the things that Mylio sees as blurry. And you can adjust this. So you can click on the gear here, and this is where you can adjust that AI sensitivity. So we want to go ahead and bring this up. We want it to be pretty accurate if we're going to say we're going to use AI to delete this. So let's go ahead and bring that up really high and click apply. Most of these are taken at quite a distance. I can't tell if the eyes are closed or open or smiling. Underexposed or overexposed, I'm not terribly concerned about that. Let's maybe say overexposed we want to get rid of, but again, we want to make that very, very accurate. So I'm going to go ahead and move that up here to the top. And that's to more accurate and fewer matches. And you can also say if I've already gone through and I've marked something as a reject, let's mark that to get rid of. Or if I've given it a really low rating, like a 1 or a 2, let's mark those as well. So let's go ahead from here and run auto check. And we're probably not going to get many results this way because we put the AI very strong. We want it to be very certain that these are things that we want to get rid of. So let's go ahead and do a little scroll through and see if it actually marked anything. It might not have. I'm lucky I have a camera that nails focus pretty well most of the time. So there shouldn't be too many blurry images in here. It looks like we're in pretty good shape. So it didn't mark anything else. So that's because, like I said, I marked that AI sensitivity to be very, very cautious. I don't want to accidentally delete something that the AI thinks is maybe blurry in the wrong area, but it's actually sharp in an area that I think is important. So that's something to consider there. Auto mark can be very helpful. It can, like I said, help you whittle down those results and get things to a more manageable number. All right, that brings us to removing versus deleting. Down here in the bottom left, you have the option to delete the things that you've marked or simply move them outside of your Mylio Photos library. Move marked is good if you're looking for a very low risk, low commitment way of doing this. What that does is it takes those files outside of a folder that Mylio is currently watching and puts them into a folder somewhere else that Mylio does not watch. That's great if you're not ready to commit to getting rid of those images. However, it's clutter that's still going to be on your computer that you will have to deal with at some later date. On the other hand, delete marked, what that does is it permanently deletes them from your Mylio Photos library and all of your Mylio connected devices. It gets them off of your vaults and cleans up your library. When you hit delete marked, what happens is they get moved to your system trash. So if you're on Mac or Windows, your trash can, your recycle bin, you're going to see those pictures end up in there. If you feel like you made a mistake, you can always go in there and put them back. Once you empty the trash or the recycle bin, these images are gone permanently. So that's something to consider. I'm pretty confident in the ones that I chose here to get rid of. So I'm going to go ahead and say delete marked. It's going to get rid of 6 files. It's going to save me 127 megabytes of space, which is awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and say delete files. And that just cleaned up my library a little bit. In a nutshell, that is how Photo DeClutter works. It's a fabulous tool for a specific purpose, help you clean up those similar images. If you're like me and you go out and you take a lot of pictures where you do use that rapid fire on your phone, on your camera, whatever device you're using to capture your images, this is very, very helpful. Another time that I use this is when I'm going out and doing long exposures. I like to get certain gestures in the water and how those things swirl. And I end up with a lot of images like this that are all very, very similar. Photo DeClutter helps me clean those up and keep my library under control. Otherwise, I end up with hundreds and thousands of images like this. You can see I still have a little bit of work to do. As you're capturing media, it's an ongoing process, but the tools are here to help you keep everything under control. I want to thank you all for joining us today. This has been a lot of fun. Just a quick reminder that next week for our coffee break, we're going to have those hidden library cleanup tools. We'll talk about a few other things you could use to clean up your library. Also, hope you'll join us for live Q&A and join Lori's sessions for Ready, Set, Go. I want to wish you all a wonderful rest of your day and have a great afternoon, wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next time.